Hi guys and welcome to my channel. We are so close to 1 million subscribers. Of course that is a distant dream, but we are extremely close to 1 subscriber. So why don't you become subscriber number 1? I think it's quite self-explanatory, but if it wasn't clear to you, this is a chess channel where you guys can play and just watch and have fun with chess or don't have fun. Again, that's up to you. So I would like to start the channel by showing you guys some games which are absolutely brilliant, but you guys have probably never heard of them. So let's just get started with a game between Eduardo Rozentalis and Ralph Appel, or Appel. I don't know how it's said, but I'm going to say Appel. I think that sounds better. E4 knight f6, so Appel plays the Iakin defense, and we have e5 knight d5, so main stuff of the Iakin. And g3 was played by Eduardo's, and Eduardo's does play this line from time to time, rather quite frequently, so I don't think Appel was terribly surprised. And we have right now pretty standard stuff for the Iakin with d4, d5, knight f3, bishop e7, castles, knight e5, knight bd7, knight c3, c6, f4, knight e5. And this position has actually been reached before in a game, Eduardo Rozentalis versus Mickey Adams. So Eduardo knows his stuff, and I believe Appel would have prepared something as well. So in the game against Mickey Adams, Rozentalis played d takes on e5, but in this game he chooses f takes e5, and okay, Appel plays knight e8. We have queen h5, and Appel plays f5, and he wants to get his knight to c7, to e6, so he basically allows white to create a pass pawn, but he says, I'm going to blockade your pass pawn, so it's not a problem. Which I don't think is a terrible way to think, but I really like really like the next move of Rozentalis, which is knight e2, with the point that when the knight does get to e6, we would be able to play knight f4, and we will be able to exchange off that knight. Knight c7, c3 solidifying the structure, knight e6, and now another very nice moment. Rozentalis plays h4. He prevents any ideas of bishop g5 exchanging the bishops, or he just basically takes control of the g5 square. And yes, he does weaken g4, but it's not clear how black takes advantage of that, so technically that's not a weakness. Black did rook f7, preparing rook f8 in some positions as it happened. Knight f4. The trade of knights took place, and bishop e6, still blockading the pawn, developing the bishop. Rook f2, queen a5, not allowing white to play rook to f1 because your a2 pawn was hanged. So white starts with a3, defending his pawn. And black plays, I think, quite a clever move in this position. He plays c5. And he tells white that if you go rook a f1, I'm going to play cd, and after c takes d4, I will use this rook to work on the open file. So I think another nice movement from Rozentalis, he plays bishop e3. So now he says, if you do take on d4, I'm going to recapture with my bishop. Appel chose to close the position down with c4, and Rozentalis continued with rook af1. We have rook af8, and here another, I think, instructive moment. You can see that this bishop is not great on e6, while the bishop on e7 is better of the two bishops. So on the same note, this bishop on e3 is pretty bad, considering that it's blocked in by all of these pawns, which is why Eduardo takes the practical decision to play bishop g5, exchanging his bad bishop for black's good bishop. There's no good way to avoid this trade, so we have queen d8, bishop e7, queen e7. And now I think the weakness on d5 is quite apparent, but it's not very clear how to take advantage of that weakness. Because like you can maximum have a queen and bishop attack it, but at the same time black can easily have his queen and bishop defended. I think this is an absolutely stunning moment in the game. Where Eduardo just does it's an absolutely stunning moment. I mean, I thought of something which I thought was very clever, but it's pretty useless. You guys can try and think yourself. Um, I thought of rook f4, which just tells me that I'm not a great chess player. But the point was I wanted to get the bishop all the way to b1 or even c2, where it was going to attack the f5 square. The only problem with that is it has two problems. It takes too long, and basically once you do get the bishop to the diagonal you want it to be on, black just has to play queen d7 and he defends his f5 pawn. So it's a pretty stupid one, come to think of it. But here an absolutely stunning moment from Eduardas. He plays a4, and the idea is not clear. I don't think it is clear to any of you if you haven't seen the game before, unless you're some grandmaster or something. But I think it's a beautiful move, and I think Appel replies in a natural way. He plays queen d7, attacks the weak pawn. We have queen d1, and I must say that this is quite funny because Rozentalis apparently said that when he played this game, it was basically in a way based on some ideas he had seen in a game between Smyslov and Reshevsky of the World Championship. However, those games are completely unrelated, so I have absolutely no clue what kind of pattern recognition is going on here. So Appel actually played rook c8 here. If he played b5, I think after a b5, queen b5 and queen a1, white achieves a similar position as he does in the game with a very similar plan to go queen a3 and to use these dark squares, or other things could happen like they happened in the game. So in the game black played rook c8, and actually in this position black is threatening to play pawn to b5. How is he threatening to play pawn to b5? If black gets the chance to play pawn to b5 now, we have ab, queen b, and now after queen a1 you want to get to a3, but rook c6 and you get to a6, and it's quite unpleasant for white actually. So in view of this b5 move, Rozentalis plays a5, and now if you do play b5, we actually just take a takes b6, a takes b6, and queen a1. And the problem is you cannot occupy the a file with your rook any longer. If Appel tried queen a7, we just take and we have a beautiful tactic here. Rook takes f5, and after bishop f5, bishop d5, you move the king, but I take on f5 as well. And I have a bishop for the exchange. I'm an exchange down, but I have two connected pass pawns which are extremely dangerous, and I think anybody would take white in this position. So instead of all this, here in this position, the move chosen was rook cf8, which I'm not so sure I really understand, but it's very difficult to suggest a move for black considering the close nature of the position. And here another nice move, queen a1, but it's really the only logical follow-up to playing queen from h5 to d1 to a1. That a1 is the only logical follow-up, and you're basically telling the a5 pawn that it's not alone. We have queen e7, which I think is again very natural. You tell white that white, you cannot play queen a3, but Eduardas says you think I can't, but I can. He plays queen a3 nonetheless, which is absolutely stunning because well, basically, I'll just show you what happened now. Ralph played a very natural move, queen a3 and b8. And yes, white has absolutely ruined his pawn structure, and it's quite grotesque. That's not to be denied. But he has now got the b file to work with. So let's just see how things develop. We have rook d8. Black is basically going to try and set up some kind of coordinated defense of the b7 pawn. Rook b2. Rook c7, rook b5, rook d7, and in this position I would say that everybody here, your first instinct says play rook fb1, which is not at all a bad move. I think it's a fine move, but the move that Rozentalis plays is just mind-blowing. You guys can try and find it yourself once again. The move is king f2, and I don't think any of us, at least I didn't think of this. If you guys thought of it, then you're geniuses, but most of you probably didn't think of it. And the point is, if I tell you the point, you won't be blown away by the by the events to come. So let's just see how things develop. G6, King E3, fine. King G7, Rook FB1, King F7, and now we can see the point of playing King F2. You guys can try and find this again yourselves, but it's an absolutely stunning move. Eduardo's played Rook C5, and he says, okay, you can shatter my pawn structure even more, take my Rook, DC5, and just look at my pawn structure. It's absolutely terrible. But after Rook C7, King D4, the D5 pawn is actually just going to fall, and very similar things happen in the game, so you guys can see it as it progresses in the game itself. In the game, Black chose not to take on C5 immediately. He chose to first play King E7, which gave White the opportunity to play Rook B5, and he now says that, look, your D5 pawn is attacked 3 times, so you pretty much have to take on C5 now. So Black says, okay, if I have to, I will. Rook C5, and now we don't take with the Rook again, we take with the pawn. D takes C5. And now King D8 was played, and now Black is basically threatening to play King to C7 and consolidate in this position because he defends his pawn, and he's probably actually just equal considering the close nature of the position. Which is why Eduardas comes up with another, I think, brilliant move again, a prophylactic move you could say, A6. And now if you play King C7, well, you can take with the Rook, but I think you just take with the pawn, and you're just creating a deadly pass pawn, and this does not hold for Black. So Appel was forced to play King C8 instead, and now another fabulous moment here. Eduardas played Rook to B6, attacking the bishop, and now, well, you can't take because I play A7 and the pawn queens. So Bishop G8 was played, and now Rook F6 with the threat of coming to the last rank with Rook F8, and even if you exchange the rooks, the D5 pawn falls, and the whole game will fall apart. So Appel chose Rook D8, even though that doesn't help much because after King D4, BA6, another nice moment here, he played Rook to D6, and it was in this position that Appel resigned because if you trade rooks, you're lost. If you don't trade rooks, you lose the D5 pawn. If you did trade rooks, then you would just take with the C pawn. Let's say you just played something like, let's say you played A5, White just takes, and you don't hold this position. So yeah, I really think this was an absolutely fantastic game. I think the crucial moment was definitely here. To have played the move A4 is absolutely fantastic. And another absolutely stunning moment in my opinion was in this position, Queen A3, happily spoiling the pawn structure. And then again, here King F2 was just wow. To have seen the entire thing, to have seen that you're going to play Rook C5 and you're going to clear the D4 square for your Rook is just unbelievable. And then to be very happy with this pawn structure is just I have no words to express how much appreciation I have towards this game. And another nice tactical moment was obviously Rook B6, but it was just a beautiful game. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't, then do the same because I'm a great guy, and frankly you'd be doing a disservice to me if you chose not to subscribe and like the video. So yeah, that's all for this time. See you soon for more chess. Bye bye.